Hey everyone, we know how hard it can be to keep up with the latest news, so if you haven't had time to stay on top of what's what in the Holy Land with ILTV, have no worries. Stay tuned for our weekly review where we'll give you the scoop on the biggest stories that you may have missed in the last 7 days, right from Tel Aviv. I'm Aaron Porras, and thank you for joining us. In the first two polls publicized following the dismantling of the Zionist Union, it was found that both the Hatnuah and Labor parties were greatly damaged by the move. The two polls published by Kan and Channel 2 News found that if elections were held today, Avi Gabai's Labor Party would only win 7 and 8 seats respectively, down from 9 seats in previous polls, and Livni's Hatnuah party on its own would receive just 5 seats according to Channel 2, and none according to Kan, as it failed to pass the electoral threshold of 3.25%. Both polls showed that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Likud party continues to maintain a significant lead, however, with 31 seats according to Channel 2 and 28 according to Kan. Then, similar to previous polls, coming in far behind, the next largest faction was former IDF Chief of Staff Benny Gantz's new party, Israel Resilience, which according to Channel 2 would receive 12 seats, down from 14 last week. Though according to Kan, he still holds on to the 14 mandates. With this in mind, both Gabai and Livni have reportedly sought an alliance with Gantz, though Livni did swipe at Gantz's failure to make his policies known. Meanwhile, parties across the aisle are also reportedly seeking alliances ahead of elections. Kan reported on Wednesday that the Prime Minister's Likud party may look to form a political union with Finance Minister Moshe Kahlon's Kulanu party, adding an estimated 6 seats to the Likud's roughly 30. Kulanu has denied these reports as rumors, though. Religious parties, United Torah Judaism and Shas, on the other hand, who are expected to receive 7 and 5 seats respectively, have confirmed that they are considering a partnership. Other remaining parties, most of which are also looking around for any partnerships they might find, include Yair Lapid's Yesh Atid party that slid in the polls down to around 13 or fewer seats, the New Right party started by Naftali Bennett and Ayelet Shaked, which is down to 9 or fewer seats, and the former Defense Minister Ya'alon's New Telem party, which at the moment is expected to fail to meet the minimum required threshold completely. The main story on everyone's mind today is the surprise announcement Saturday evening by Jewish Home Party leader Naftali Bennett and his number 2, Justice Minister Ayelet Shaked, of the establishment of their new party called Hayamin Hadash, or the New Right. The two ministers announced their decision to break away from the nationalist religious Jewish Home Party, which Bennett has led since 2012, to instead aspire to bringing both non-religious and religious groups together under one right-wing political party as equal partners. At a press conference, both ministers explained that the Jewish Home, after its many achievements, had lost its influence and peaked. Bennett said, quote, "We and the right must no longer be held captive by one man," referring to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In return, the new party has already faced a wave of criticism from the Likud and other right-wing parties, however, claiming that they are splitting votes on the right. Likud Minister Miri Regev accused Bennett of actually joining the left, saying in an interview with Israel's Army Radio this morning that this new party is imitation Likud. And similarly, former Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman, head of the Israel Beitenu party, also dismissed the new party to Army Radio as nothing more than air. Meanwhile, former IDF Chief of Staff Benny Gantz officially launched his own new party Hosen l'Israel, or Israel's Resistance, last week. He's also said to be in talks to run on a joint ticket with Boji Ya'alon as well, former IDF Chief of Staff and former Likud Defense Minister who resigned from his post in 2016, again after disagreements with Netanyahu. Again, though, the issue with all these newly formed fragmented political parties is that now many on the right are concerned that they will not be able to pass the electoral threshold, causing the right to lose its parliamentary majority in the upcoming elections. So will the left finally be able to turn the tides in its favor? Well, that still remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. There is never a dull moment in Israeli politics. The Israeli political world wasn't the only one with a busy weekend, as Israeli security forces were also addressing multiple threats along the various borders. In the south along the barrier with Gaza, the weekly Hamas-organized March of Return protests resumed on Friday, where despite the storms, around 5,000 Palestinian rioters came to throw rocks, grenades, and otherwise damage the security fence. One man was killed and 6 more were injured when the IDF responded with live fire. Additionally, a group of 10 balloons carrying an explosive landed in the yard of an Israeli kindergarten in Moshav Kfar Maimon near the Gaza border. This is the first such incendiary device flown into Israel from Gaza in a few weeks, and police sappers were called and neutralized the device. Meanwhile, in another first since last month, Hamas also fired a rocket at Israel from the Gaza Strip. No damages or injuries were reported, but the IDF launched an airstrike against a Hamas post in Gaza in response. Finally, in the north along the border with Lebanon, Israel's Operation Northern Shield continues, with the IDF reportedly destroying all 5 Hezbollah attack tunnels that have been found so far crossing into the Israeli Galilee. In video published by the IDF, the tunnels can be seen being collapsed with explosives or filled with an unspecified liquid, mostly cement. But in either case, and especially through the use of the liquid, the actions clearly reveal the hidden entrances to the tunnels from the Lebanese side, and they all begin in civilian Lebanese areas. In one such video released to the public, the entrance was even found to be hidden under a chicken coop, leading the army to once again give this evidence to the international community as proof of Hezbollah's violating UNESCO Resolution 1701. Operation Northern Shield is expected to continue at least for the next few weeks. According to an Israeli Channel 2 news report on Tuesday night, Attorney General Avichai Mandelblit is seeking to announce his decision on whether or not to indict Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu before the upcoming elections. Mandelblit is said to have been consulting with top judicial officials, including former attorney generals and Supreme Court justices, on whether he can legally announce a pre-indictment hearing for Netanyahu ahead of the vote. And according to the report, the legal experts advise that a decision could be published prior to April 9th. That being said, should Mandelblit decide to press charges against the Prime Minister, he would have to first announce an indictment pending a hearing with Netanyahu, only after which charges could be officially filed in court. In response to the report, though, the Prime Minister's lawyers issued a statement saying that such a decision would gravely harm the democratic process because the hearing in which Netanyahu could state his version of events would not take place before the elections, thereby skewing the public's views on him. The attorneys continued that, quote, it's inconceivable that the public will hear only one side and not the other, end quote, adding that there have been many instances in which attorney generals have decided to drop charges after announcing an indictment as a result of the hearing. Last week, however, Mandelblit insisted that it was his duty to the public to announce a decision before going to the polls. Regardless, as indicated often, and as recently as yesterday in Brazil, Prime Minister Netanyahu said he would not resign in the face of indictments anyhow, as he continues to maintain the belief that nothing will come of it anyway.
אני מבקש מכם לתאר לעצמכם מה קורה אם מדיחים ראש ממשלה לפני סיום שימוע, ואחר כך בסיום השימוע מחליטים לסגור את התיק. זה אבסורד, זה פגיעה איומה בדמוקרטיה.
After initially announcing their decision in 2017, the United States and Israel are scheduled to take their leave from the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO, today. And though the Israeli Foreign Ministry is expected to comment on UNESCO today as well, neither country has made any indication that they intend to reverse this decision. The move is a long time coming as well, as the Cultural Heritage Body has caused much divide in the Middle East, with their resolutions that both Israel and the United States have decried as consistently anti-Semitic and biased. For example, declaring archaeological and holy sites in Jerusalem, Judea and Samaria, and other parts of Israel as solely Palestinian or Muslim in significance, like the Tomb of the Patriarchs and the Temple Mount. In fact, just this past summer, Prime Minister Netanyahu remarked that since 2009, quote, UNESCO has passed 71 resolutions condemning Israel and only 2 resolutions condemning all other countries combined. This is simply outrageous, end quote. He then added that in withdrawing, Israel and the United States have, quote, made a clear moral statement that UNESCO's anti-Semitism will no longer be tolerated. If and when UNESCO ends its bias against Israel, stops denying history, and starts standing up for the truth, Israel will be honored to rejoin, end quote. Israel and the United States first began their protest against UNESCO by ending their financial contributions in 2011. The failure to pay dues resulted in a loss of voting rights in 2013, and finally a complete rejection and withdrawal from the organization in 2017, set to begin tomorrow, after 4 more years of continued slander and condemnation, or as Netanyahu called it, quote, the mark of anti-Semitism, end quote. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that he would not resign from office should the Attorney General Avichai Mandelblit accept police recommendations to indict him before elections. And speaking to a press conference in Brazil, where he's currently visiting, Netanyahu addressed all the issues surrounding the upcoming Israeli elections. But again, when asked at the press conference if he would resign in the face of indictments, he responded with no way.
שנית, התשובה לשאלתך היא לא, אני לא מתכוון להתפטר, ויש לכך 3 סיבות. סיבה ראשונה, אני מאמין שלא יצא מזה כלום. אמרתי לכם את זה כל הזמן, לא שיניתי את עמדתי. שנית, ישראל היא מדינת חוק, ולפי החוק, ראש הממשלה לא צריך להתפטר בתהליך של שימוע. שלישית, השימוע הרי לא מסתיים עד שלא שומעים את הצד שלי. ולכן לא הגיוני לפתוח בתהליך של שימוע לפני הבחירות, אם אתה לא יכול לסיים אותו עד הבחירות. אני מבקש מכם לתאר לעצמכם מה קורה אם מדיחים ראש ממשלה, לפני סיום שימוע, ואחר כך בסיום השימוע מחליטים לסגור את התיק. זה אבסורד, זה פגיעה איומה בדמוקרטיה.
The Prime Minister also publicly criticized Naftali Bennett and Ayelet Sheked's move to split from their right-wing Jewish Home Party and form a new party, Hayamina Chadash, or the New Right. Netanyahu said that there is a danger that this will destroy the right bloc into splinter parties that will not pass the electoral threshold. He said that he would, quote, check all options, end quote, regarding uniting the right, and he said that he would do what he can to prevent it,
adding that, quote, "I will act responsibly so that the right-wing bloc retains its strength and will not act irresponsibly in a move that could harm it," end quote. He added that no one knows what they, Bennett and Shaked, will do with the mandates that they receive, stating that they could easily pass on mandates to the left and support Yesh Atid party leader Yair Lapid instead. Regarding the United States peace plan, Netanyahu then said that the United States is unlikely to release its long-awaited peace plan anyway during elections because it wants to maximize, not minimize, its chances of success. Netanyahu also said that he was opening up Israel to the world as prime minister, and said that, quote, "We are connecting the world to China, India, and to the Western world." And he mentioned that he doesn't see any other political candidate able to match his diplomatic abilities.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu commented for the first time on the formation of Education Minister Naftali Bennett and Justice Minister Ayelet Shaked's new Hayamin HaChadash, or the New Right Party. In closed-door comments to senior Likud officials, Netanyahu reportedly said that, quote, "Bennett and Shaked are destroying right-wing parties that will not pass the electoral threshold," adding that this could represent a, quote, "fatal blow to the national camp that could lead to the establishment of a leftist government," end quote.
Well, according to a number of recent polls, several right-wing parties, including the Jewish Home, which Bennett and Shaked broke away from, as well as Shas, Kulanu, and Israel Beitenu, were all hovering around the 3.25 electoral threshold, or around a minimum of 4 seats. And if any one of these parties doesn't make it into the Knesset, it could certainly jeopardize the right's leading bloc. However, some reports suggest actually that the two ministers, Bennett and Shaked, will seek to reunite with their Jewish Home Party following the elections in order to create a strong right-wing bloc in coalition negotiations with the prime minister. And on a related note, on Monday, Justice Minister Ayelet Shaked also said that she believes this will be Netanyahu's last term in office. Speaking at a conference by financial paper Kalkalist, Shaked explained that her prediction is because Netanyahu is getting older and faces indictment charges which loom over him. She added that she doesn't know what the investigation into the prime minister will yield, though she hopes there will be nothing so that the government can get back to work as usual. Still, for the upcoming elections, Shaked said that she hopes her new party will remain partners in his coalition, and that she and Bennett both are aiming to try to bring in mandates in the double digits. Since the announcement of their new party, though, Likud party members have publicly criticized Bennett and Shaked for their move. Minister Yariv Levin on Sunday even said in a post on Facebook that, quote, "From their wild attack on Prime Minister Netanyahu, it's clear that Bennett and Shaked's intention is to topple the Prime Minister and the Likud," end quote.
In some interesting news, a new genetic study found that almost a quarter of all Latin Americans could have Jewish ancestry. According to the study that was published in the Nature Communications magazine, 23% of the people in the sample showed genes connected with Sephardic and Mediterranean ancestry. And ILTV's Joy Gavijon is here to tell us more.
Thanks, Aaron. This is very interesting. So, for the study, more than 6,500 individuals originally from Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Mexico, and Peru were analyzed, and their DNA was compared with genetic data taken from more than 2,300 individuals from reference populations that represent 5 major regions in the world: Native Americans, Europeans, East and South Mediterraneans, Sub-Saharan Africans, and East Asians.
All right, okay, but the article in Nature Communications magazine is titled "Latin Americans Show Widespread Converso Ancestry and Imprint of Local Native Ancestry on Physical Appearance."
Exactly, that's referring to the results. According to the study, almost a quarter of the Latin Americans in the sample share 5% of their heritage or more with people that live in North Africa and east and south of the Mediterranean, including Sephardic Jews. But overall, the converso genes make only a small part of the ancestries of the populations that were studied from each of the countries.
Okay, and then just to make it clear, what exactly are you calling the converso genes?
Right, well, converso is the word that we use in Spanish to refer to the people that during the Inquisition in Spain and Portugal were forced to convert from Judaism to Christianity.
I see. All right, so now how accurate is the study?
Well, according to the geneticist Chacon Duque, the study doesn't represent the whole population and has biases. And that's because the sample didn't reach the 7,000 people, so we can't say for sure that a quarter of Latin Americans actually have Sephardic genes, but it shows a,
shows a pretty big correlation anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so this is very interesting because, just this month, Latin United States Representative-elect Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said that she has Sephardic origins,
right,
and that her ancestors escaped the Inquisition fleeing to Puerto Rico.
Exactly, and now according to the study, there are apparently many more like her. So
that's amazing. All right, well, Joy, thank you for the update. I can't wait to see how many more people might be relatives.
Of course. Thank you, Aaron.
And now, speaking of New Year's Eve, we thought we'd take you for a very special ride down memory lane and look at some of the biggest moments in Israel in 2018. The walls of Tel Aviv are no strangers to a little street art and graffiti, and the residents of the city only have love and appreciation for it. So much so that tons of art tours are offered around the city, and ILTV's Manuel Kadosh, who got the chance to join one recently, is here now with us in the studio to tell us all about it.
Yes, Aaron. Well, I actually got my very own personal tour, you could say, with the owner and founder of Alternative Tel Aviv Tours, Yael Shapira. And we actually joined another tour that was already happening with one of their tour guides, Maya Ben Rosh, who's an art history major, which Yael was explaining to me throughout like the entire day that that's part of, you know, some of the criteria that she's looking for a tour guide is, you know, having somebody passionate that's studying art history or has some background in it.
Somebody who knows how to talk about art.
And it was also passionate about it and wants to be there, you know? And so this piece came out yesterday on my Israel in Style episode, but I really wanted to show you a quick clip of it.
All right, well, let's check it out.
Yeah.
It's like exploded with street art, this whole street.
Today it's very elaborate and it's already a global art movement, probably the most popular art movement around the world.
He's always drawing these Lego mans. These are his signature. He says that when he was younger, he didn't have a TV growing up, so this is what he always played with Legos. So that's his signature. This is the color that's coming out of the spray paint. So maybe graffiti is destroying the universe, or maybe it's just another commentary on the environment.
In a place like South Tel Aviv, It's all around you. And some of the pieces might speak to you personally, and you get connected, and you follow certain artists, and you go on a tour, and then you know more, and then you can differentiate between graffiti, other types of art in the streets, different artists and groups working in this field, and you have like a new hobby or new knowledge, and it helps you tour the world in a more deep way.
This is the wall of a synagogue, actually. The entrance is from that way. So this is a synagogue. And this wall, before this mural was on here, kept getting graffitied over and over. And the synagogue would get mad and keep calling them up to buff it over and to clean up the wall. Every time they cleaned it up, they would put more graffiti on it. So finally they said, okay, if there's going to be some paintings on here, it might as well be ours. And they commissioned this piece. I guess we have to have graffiti on our wall. Let's keep going.
What about the street artists themselves? How do they feel about, you know, these types of organized tours? Because like you said before, the artists feel like they have the freedom and the ability to paint and say whatever they want, and now we're making tours out of it. Are they cooperative?
I can understand artists disapproving of guided tours. When I came this morning to meet you guys, I saw 5 groups, and it's kind of, you know, it's beginning to, Florentin is becoming a tourist destination and a lot of tours, and of course it kind of takes the magic out of it, but it is still important for us to talk with people about this. And some people, art history, it's not their education. And they do want to talk to a professional guide and an art historian about the history of street art.
So I love that.
I know.
That is so cool, and I cannot wait to take a tour.
Yes, it was actually really fun. And you know, street art is graffiti. Street art is constantly popping up all over the city. And so, Alternative Tel Aviv Tours has tours all over the country, in Jerusalem, Haifa, Yafo, Tel Aviv, and most recently in Berlin, which is clearly outside of our country. But it's also, you know, expanding.
It gives us another place, another
Exactly.
target area for some
So
street
you should
art.
definitely check it out.
Yeah, and I'm so excited too, because the street art, I mean, it really does. It changes all the time here, and you know, I recognize a lot of these spots here around the city, and it's so cool to see it constantly changing and to get to know the artists, because it's a really tight knit community, and they're there. Like,
everybody gets to know each other, and you get to know their signature things, and then you recognize them.
They have galleries. Yeah, I mean, they're like exhibiting not just.
Yeah, Alternative Tel Aviv actually
street.
does gallery tours and art and street art tours, so it's a mix of both. So you should definitely check it out.
All right, well, you sold me.
Yes, great.
Emmanuel, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks.
And now this week's Top 5 with ILTV's Emmanuel Kadosh.
Holiday season is always my favorite. You get to gift your family and your friends with things they've wanted all year and surprise them with a few little things you know they'll just love. So I'm here to share with you ILTV's top 5 list of Israeli-made gadgets for you to gift this holiday season. First up on the list is Lishtot Testra Pro. This reusable keychain device will let you know in less than 2 seconds if your tap, bottled, or natural water is safe enough to drink. Using a green or red light, Lishtot, which means to drink in Hebrew, uses patented sensor technology for detecting contaminants such as E. coli, lead, and much more. All of this data can even be Bluetoothed to your Lishtot app, so you can compare different water sources. Now, this is a game changer. Second up is Smart Sketch. This smart projector guide helps with step-by-step drawing, learning to write numbers and letters, early spelling skills, and so much more. The gadget can even transfer and project smartphone photos onto the paper ready to be sketched. This gadget is available in major retail stores and has won countless Toy of the Year awards. Absolutely amazing. In third place is Daphne. A father-daughter duo spent 3 years perfecting this patented hairbrush that straightens a full head of hair in less than 5 minutes. Using a flat iron at home damages your hair, and going to the salon can get pretty expensive. And now this at-home ceramic gadget is your go-to. They even were featured in international magazines like Vogue, Glamour, and InStyle. So you better check this out, ladies. It's a lifesaver. Fourth up is the Even ear print technology that's inside the Even wireless headphones, which are labeled to be the glasses for your ears. This technology and headphones analyzes, adjusts, and adapts sound to each ear to provide a full personalized listening experience. This is definitely a gift anyone would be happy to get. Last, but as you know, not least, the Hero Shelf for all you forgetful people like myself. Never lose your keys, glasses, or phone again. The Hero Shelf is meant for you to leave them all on one wall-mounted organizer. This superhero can hold all the objects you need that you tend to leave behind. A true hero. Now that's all for today's Top 5. Back to you.
All right, that's it for this week's weekly review. Remember to follow us on Facebook for more news at Israel English News, and of course on Twitter at ILTV News. I'm Aaron Porras. Thank you for watching.